Close brace. For JavaScript developers, by JavaScript developers. Ready to move some more functionality into our authentication action file? It's a similar process to the previous tutorial with a couple of twists, which we'll cover along the way. Let's do this. Start by opening /source/actions/authentication.js. At the top, add in our polyfill, which helps make sure that fetch works in more browsers. Leave that file for a bit and switch over to /source/components/account/loginpagecontainer.jsx. Go ahead and delete the whatwg fetch line here, because we don't need it anymore. Then it's time to cut and paste again. Highlight lines 24 all the way down to 73. Our entire attempt login block. And cut them. Then head back to /source/actions/authentication.js. Add a padding line below line 11, and type this comment. Then, below that, paste your code. As you probably remember from the previous tutorial, this code needs some adjustment to work in this file. Let's start by changing line 14 to the following. Note that we're removing the spacing there, but don't change the indentation on the rest of it. Instead, below that first line, add the following. There. Now the rest of our indentation lines up. Glorious. Let's celebrate by deleting lines 16 to 23 because we don't need them anymore. Alright, we're getting into new territory for this tutorial. Instead of giving you explicit code examples for this next part, I'm just going to tell you what to do. So here are the steps you need to take. Add a closing brace below line 56 to close our function properly. Then add a semicolon at the end of line 56. Now remove the word action from all of the function calls in this block that have it. So for example, increment progress action becomes increment progress. This should affect 6 lines. Now wrap all 6 of those functions in dispatches. Don't forget the parentheses. Remove line 45, this.setState redirect true, entirely. And on what is now line 54, add a return before this dispatch. Okay, with all of that done, save the file, and head back to /source/components/account/loginpagecontainer.jsx. We've performed surgery on this file, and as with all surgery, you need to sew up the holes once you've cut them. At least, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I am not a surgeon, and if you ever see me snapping on gloves in your operating room, you should leap from the table and run screaming down the hall, even if your hospital gown shows off your butt to everybody you pass. Anyway, let's repair our file. For starters, delete any excess space your cutting may have caused. After that, head to the top. We're going to clean up our imports a little bit. Delete these 2 lines. Delete bind action creators. Move connect to where it belongs alphabetically. And it should all look like that when you're done. Now below line 3, add the following code. Next, we can delete the component state from our constructor. But how are we going to redirect our user, you ask? Well, when we built our authentication reducer, we brilliantly added an isLoggedIn boolean into our user object. We're going to map that state to props and check against that instead in just a minute. For now, just delete lines 14 to 18. Much like with logging out, we still need a small method to pass down to login page as a prop, so below the constructor but above the render block, add the following. Then change line 13 to bind to that function instead of our old one, like this. And then change line 32 to reference it, like this. Now skip down to the end of the file and delete the entire map dispatch to props block. We're going to replace it with the following code. Then change line 44, the final line of our file, to reflect that, like this. Note, we replaced the null with map state to props and got rid of map dispatch to props, which is why connect has gone from taking 2 arguments to just 1. Because connect expects map state to props first, we have to pass null in order for it to move on to map dispatch to props. But now we're passing map state to props, and because of the way function arguments work, we don't have to bother specifying null for anything that follows, because simply by not defining them, we get the same result. Alright, last step. We need to check this state in our component. So change line 22 to this. And then change line 24 to this. That's it. We've patched up this file. Save it so it can head off to the recovery room and drink milkshakes and watch TV until it's ready to leave the hospital. Have I carried this metaphor too far? Let's move on. You can test this in a browser, of course. Reload your app, head to your login page, and log in with a credentialed user. It should do exactly the same thing as it did before. That's what we're looking for. Such is the joy of code refactoring. In the next tutorial, we'll move one final fetch block to our action file and make a few other tweaks. Until then.